Hello! In this video, we're going to talk about Greek and Latin roots. This is an important unit that we are going to continue actually throughout the year as we explore how words in English are actually related to the languages of Latin and Greek. So one of the things to keep in mind is that all languages kind of stem from other languages. They influence each other as people move throughout the world. English is influenced by a lot of different languages. Sometimes it's influenced by Spanish and French, German, but it's also being influenced by two older languages, Greek and Latin. Latin was spoken by the Romans in Italy back a long time ago, and Greek is currently being spoken in Greece but has been spoken for a long time. As people from Greece and people from Rome kind of explored the world, mostly Europe at the time, they had their language infiltrate other parts of the world, and those words became a part of various languages. That's why we have some Greek and Latin influence in English, but also if you speak Spanish or French, you might notice that they are known as Italic Romance languages, meaning that they are heavily influenced by Latin. So, one of the things that we can become better readers and writers in English, or even languages like Spanish and French, is by understanding our Greek and Latin roots. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through some Greek and Latin roots, and then we're going to learn about some words that are based from that. So we have root words, meaning words from Latin and Greek that help us understand words in English. All right? So the first root we're going to talk about is fac, fic, and fact. And all of these little chunks, these roots, come from the Latin word facere or factum. These basically mean to make or to do. One connection is if you speak French, the verb to make or to do is faire. It is all backed from facere or factum. Some words in English that derive from this, first is facsimile. Facsimile is a copy or imitation. We have the root fac, which means to make. So basically it means to make copy, which in the olden days we used to have machines called facsimile machines in which you can make a copy of something and send it over the telephone lines. So a facsimile is in essence to make a copy, or it is a copy. Another word is deficient. We have the word fic, the root word fic, which again to make or to do, but we also have a prefix that means the beginning of a word, d, that means not or the opposite. So in essence, deficient means not having enough or not making enough, not doing enough. So if you do a deficient job, you did not do enough. Now here's a little tricky one. We've got petrify, which means to scare or frightened. You can think about this, about petrification, meaning you're making something scared or you're doing something to make someone scared. People also like to bring in petrified wood. In essence, when you petrify someone, they are so scared they cannot move, so petrified wood is really solid, unmoving wood. Another word that relates to fic, fac, fac is affection, meaning feeling love or liking. This means that you are developing or making a feeling of love towards someone. The last word of this first root, fic, fac, fact, is suffice, which means to be enough. Another way to think about it is to make enough or to do enough. The second root we're going to talk about is act or ag, and these are related to do or drive, from the Latin agere and actum. We like to think about agriculture. You are doing something. You are making a drive towards creating and growing these crops. But the words we're going to look at today are transact. That means to carry out. So if you make a transaction at a bank, you are carrying out or driving forward. You're making a transaction. It means that you are making a bargain or you're moving money from one to another to carry out something. A list of things to do is an agenda, and this is rooted to drive, to go forward, is that if you have an agenda, you can go forward with things you need to do in a day. So you might notice I have an agenda board in the classroom. The last word is coagulate, which means to solidify, to clump, or to clot. I like to think about coagulate if you have some ketchup that stays out a little bit too long and it dries out a little bit, it coagulates. So we have this meaning it is moving towards kind of drying up, to solidify, to move to that next step. The next root is oper, or operare, or operatum, means to work. We see this in words like inoperable, meaning it cannot work, it cannot be fixed, it cannot be cured. So if you have inoperable cancer. You also have cooperate, which co meaning together, and you have cooperate, or cooperate means to work with, to be helpful to. Then you also have operational, meaning you can work with it, it does work. The last root is funct, from the Latin fungi or functum, meaning to work or to perform. So we have words like defunct, de again meaning no or against or the opposite, and funct means working. We have defunct, it's no longer working or active. Similarly, in many languages, including Latin-based languages, mal or mal is a bad thing. It is the opposite. It is again a negative. So a malfunction is something that goes wrong. So you're going to use these words to do a variety of activities over the past couple days. We'll be exploring some more roots and more words throughout the year, but hopefully you got a little understanding of some basic root verbs.